I'm Yuliia Barabash, and I'm originally from Ukraine, and right now I'm working as cloud engineer in North Cloud, and basically my scope is backend development. Also, I have experience with different database technologies, and also I have knowledge with AWS certificates. However, my stop was in Passau. Passau is a very nice city where you can meet a lot of students. It's a big city with not a lot of apartments. And when I came as a student, it was very hard to find something to live and find apartment. And that time I realized that, wow, we are not spiders and we have some problems. For example, people cannot live on the streets a spider. We cannot build a nest on the tree and just live there. Also, we cannot get in somebody's house, especially if you're big spider. You can just get inside and claim it's your house. In my case, it will work perfectly. I'm very afraid of spiders. And also, we cannot live in a tent, so I cannot just put a tent next to my university and live there. That's why we need to find apartment. And for finding an apartment, at that time I thought, I have some questions. For example, is there a possibility how I can track apartments posting? Is there a way how I can track rent price per city area and check what is the price depends on the city area. In some city areas, price can be cheaper. Additionally, depends of the seasons, you also can find cheaper apartment. For example, if there's not so much newcomers, you can find something easier. And that point of time, okay, now I have these questions, I need something that can help me to answer it. And that moment I realized there exists some stuff such as web scraping. And basically, web scraping is used for extracting data from websites. For example, you can have the soft that can collect information, that process information. There's also you can do some automation, like to schedule your collection of data. And right now, data is very important, especially when we have a lot of different machine learnings stuff around us and where you need to train your models. And also some businesses as well define their decisions based on the data, on the trends, the clients, what they want and what they buy at certain type of point of time. So data right now is very important. But is there a possibility to track and collect this by using Python? And we have magical library, and this library called Scrapy. Scrapy is basically a tool used for extracting data from website. You can imagine a simple tool that can give you capability to extract data, collect data, store data, clean up your data. It gives you already some predefined foundation, usually with which one you can build simple application. And during our session, we will learn how to do this. By the end of this session, you will know how you can do this. So, what are the advantages of Scrapy? The first thing with the Scrapy is has asynchronous architecture. It means that you send request and you do not wait on the response. Your application will react on the response. By this, it means that it don't wait on the response, because some websites implement this functionality that they can recognize web scraping tools and do not send response back to consume resources of application and basically fail collection of the data. And by reacting of the event, you can avoid this situation. Another thing with Scrapy, there's a lot of stuff. For example, for built-in stuff, for cleaning your data, for selection of your data, for selection elements for HTML code. For example, here you can have two types of selector. It's basically XPath and CSS selector. XPath basically you specify the way how you want to traverse your HTML code to extract specific elements. And XPath, it has the same mechanism as CSS selectors, that has the same mechanism as CSS style, where it should match elements of the HTML page to give them style, and by hidden mechanism, it extracts all information what we need and parse it. Except this, it also have possibility to export output JSON, XML, CSS code if we need and format it properly. Additionally, it can store your data to S3 bucket, Google Cloud Storage, and also local file storage. By this, also very powerful because you can implement your implementation, send this to S3 bucket, and on the S3 bucket, you can react some Lambda that will act on your file and basically produce some events. You can get notification. Great. So let's talk additionally about middleware. It's one of the possible powerful feature as well of the Scrapy, because basically you can define additional code that can be executed like hooks before sending requests, before receiving response, before sending data to the spider, after receiving output for the spider. And by this, you can cover some use cases. For example, add HTTP notification, add additional headers, also retry fail requests. Additionally, in case you want to filter out unsuccessful responses, or also filter out requests that it's not responses and that were not from your target domain. And by this, you will have already some batch of functionalities that you can use and collect your data. So how we can do this? We can do this by basically in 3 different steps. The first step is initialize our setup, also project architecture. We will cover this. After that, we will talk how we can create simple parsing. And then we talk how we can also process this in pipeline. Great. Let's talk, first of all, how we can set up our Scrapy. We can set up our Scrapy by simple run pip install Scrapy. And after that, on your local machine, you will have additional command line interface where you can execute following commands. For example, fetch page, and on the terminal, you will able also to extract some data from the page. Also, you can create a project and spider by execution start project and Gen spider that we will use later to create also some application. And view, if you want to open your page that you're rendering from website in browser and see how Scrapy see it as well. It can be useful for debugging. So let's start by creation of our project. So I want to do step by step, so you will learn as well. We will learn together. And we will clear our terminal and we will execute the first command where we just create our project. Great. We create our project, we open our folder, and we already see that we already some folder where we already have files. And let's go back and let's see what kind of files we have. We have magical structure where we already have defined middlewares, custom middleware you can enrich and will be executed. We can define our pipelines, or also we can define our settings for our spider. Great. And here folder spiders where we keep all our spiders. And additionally, in items, we can define the structure of the item, and the pipelines, we will define the pipeline that I will show you later. Where you can basically clean up your data, process your data, validate your data, and store your data. Great. Now it's time to create our spider. And for the creation of the spider, we will use this command. It's called Scrapy Gen Spider, where you basically specify Scrapy command, name of the spider, and basically your domain. But what this command is doing? So basically, what this command it will destroy. Sorry for disturbing. 1 minute, I have some technical problems, sorry.
You're still with us. We just seen your screen.
So sorry for this. I have some problem with my monitor. It was disconnected, but let's continue. So I hope you still can hear me. And let's say share my screen again.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
So okay, now you can see I am back and you can see my screen again. So what it will do, basically it will basically what we'll do, we first of all execute this command. After that, we define, it will create spider with defined templates that will go through that. We define our URL, we define the methods that we use for parsing, and at the end we just simple execute our spider. Great. So let's do this. So let's execute Scrapy get spider to get our spider. After that, but before this, we need to go to the right folder. It's called apartment. Where? We are in the right folder and let's execute. Okay, here we have our spider. So it understands, the Scrapy framework understands that we need to put our spider in the correct folder where we have all spiders. Also, it creates some base class, and the base class, it means just do inheritance from the spider, where inside the spider it already has set up that will send requests to the URL and to URL and pass response here. To speed up our demo and also implementation, we already go here and we copy this implementation that I already implemented. Just parse it and I will explain. So basically here we specify the unique name of our spider. After that, we specify domain from which we want to get responses. At the end, we will start execution. We will start our specify our start URLs that we want to execute. And here we have our parser. And basically our parser will parse our HTML. It means it will get list of all elements that we want to parse. And here we want to parse this page. So basically our URL is the page that we want to parse. This will be our URL page. And we want to pass all these divs because all these divs contains our information. And we can see that each of these divs, for example, this one, can be identified uniquely by class state item. Great. And here, if we can go back, we can see that we define class that contains this value. And we will pass all these divs. After this, we want to extract also name, price, size, rooms. For this, we also need to go here and identify how we can use it. For example, name contains as an element H2. Price can be located by attributes data task with name, price, array, and room. We specify this, that these elements have these attributes with name, price, array, and rooms. Scrapy will understand, extract this information, and save it as JSON. After that, we understand that we want to get all information. And for this, we need already have some understanding how it works. If you go here to this page, you can explore, you can check, explore URL page. You can see that Here we have page, and usually if you increment, for example, 2, you will go to the next one. If 3, again, you will go to the next one. And here we need to implement this. So we get the current URL, we extract the number. Here, increment the number. We already have our URL template, and basically here our URL template, and basically here we just increment our page number, and we do our execution. And when we do our execution, we will save it to JSON. So let's do this. One of these commands should have this. So let's start do execution of our spider. So it's stop usually. Okay, so we can see here we have 403. It's because of the page doesn't allow to get response. For this, as I mentioned in the settings, we have some settings that we want to set up for our request, and one of the settings we can specify our user agent, and by specifying user agent, we will be able to get our request. So let's go here and put in the settings the value that we need, our user agent, and let's execute again. So right now you see that we do execution, we get our data, and also we get response. So we get our 200. It's a bit slow. I believe it because right now I'm sharing my screen. That's why internet is a bit slower, but usually it's faster. And if we already see, we have our data here, and we go to our apartment data, and we can see that we have our information. We have name, we have price, we have size, and we have rooms. Great. We already saved some information. It's very easy. But in case we want to do something more, and we want to have pipelines. With pipelines, what we can do, basically, we can process our information. We can process our information, we can enrich our information, we can clean up our information, and also we can store the storage. And what of the files where we can do this, basically in this file where is pipelines, Scrapy framework already defined for us for initial class apartment pipeline, where for each item will pass to this method, and this method will process our information. Let's again copy our code from here where I already defined everything. So we can simply execute. Let's go to this code. So basically here we collect, we extract the price. Additionally, what we do after that, we extract the size, we extract number of the rooms. Also, we extract, after that, we do calculation, price per meter squares, and we return this item. After return of this item, we will send this to our output. Let's check if it's finished. So meanwhile, the old implementation is finished, and we can also have some data that we will talk about later, but let's try to execute with our pipeline. Great, we don't have any errors. We have 200, and let's go back. It also contains like some old data, but what I did and I forget to do, I forget to enable pipeline. So in middleware settings, you need to enable your pipeline. And for this, for enabling custom pipeline, what you need to do, let's search for pipeline. Pipeline here. Here we just uncomment it and we enable. After that, our pipeline will be enabled and then we can execute again. Okay, let's clean. And let's start execution again. Okay, we have our results. Okay, we already can see that we already have name, we already have the name of the apartment, we already clean up our price, we already clean up our size, we already room and also price per meter squares. And if we go to our we reload, here it's basically append some data just to be so you can debug. But here you can see that we already have our data. So we have price, size, room, and price per meter squares. And this with simple implementation, we can parse our information. Also, after execution, you can have some metadata. For example, you can see the number of response, how long it takes, also how many response was done. You also have some metadata that you can use for later. And if we sum up what's the benefits of Scrapy is basically it's a very powerful framework with which you can basically collect data from web. Also, it uses asynchronous architecture. It has also items where you can structure all the information that you need to use. It has also selectors, XPath selector in CSS selector, where with these selectors you can easily extract elements and process it, and also a lot of different outputs. And it's from my side. And thank you for your attention. And let's check your questions. Let's check. I think there's no difference. I show you on the page. So can we use VS Code or JetBrains is preferred with this application? I believe there's no difference. So you can use both if you want. It's basically you should be sure that your Python environment works and also your Scrapy, you install this application in your environment, virtual environment. But I believe there's no difference. Is there some other questions that somebody wants to ask? Yes, also there's possibility to run it daily. Also you can, there's also some application where you do scrapping on cloud. You can check this. Also, I think there's integration with Postgres SQS where you, at the end of your processing, you can save it to database at the end. So yeah, it's possible to do with this library. This is as the scrapping best practices like time of a day. I believe I'm not sure about this. Maybe you can just run some analysis on your internet how it works. Maybe in the night will be easier because there's not a lot of traffic and there's not a lot of people. So maybe you can check. Also, I see there's a lot of different questions from the same person. For example, would it work at museums? When I work in museums, the developers would shut down scrapping. They would protect their website from scrapping, or they would not collect scrapping during the day. Can you would shut down the site? So they use scrapping to shut down the site. I think is as you make, if I understand correct, to protect the website. Yeah, there's some stuff that people use to protect the website, but it depends of how they use it. I think it's a long discussion. It depends of the website, but with Scrapy, you can, for example, generate always unique API address. So if your page is checking the IP address. There's not a lot of requests from the same API address. With Scrapy, you can define proxies that can be used and go around. Additionally, with Scrapy, there's a lot of plugins that you can use, extensions where, for example, it can also use Selenium and Playwright to go around like JavaScript dynamic loading. There's also, before getting the page, it will do some actions. Authentication. So I'm not sure specific use case, but in the scrapping, there's a lot of different stuff you can check and check around. Is there some specific use case? But authentication, checking for APIs, and also different extensions to get around the loading with JavaScript, it's possible to do with scrapping. Yep. Yeah. There are some other questions.
Hi, Yuliia. I think there's just some comments that are in the chat about your presentation, but I don't really see any more questions.
Thank you for your attention and for your comments. I was very happy to see you, and also I was very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for coming. And enjoy the rest of the conference. If there are no other questions, let me just check one last time. Yes, I think, I guess we have one more question, so I'll put that on stage.
How you scale, how do you scale architecture or how volume dataset where the copyright issue? This with copyright issue, I cannot answer because it's connected to the law. So you need to ask like law department. But with high volume dataset, it's possible to do concurrency processes. You can, in Scrapy, it's possible to find to define the number of concurrent requests that you want to do and you want to send. And additionally, as I mentioned, it's always response on the events. So basically, you can define how many requests you want to process a response in the same moment by settings. So you can process your results concurrently. Also, you can define a few spiders, adjust them around in parallel, and then define different concurrency processes. So it's possible to do this.